Welcome to another one of my reflective pieces, and how I want to start today is with some scripture that was suggested as a reading for May 2nd. This particular scripture passage comes from the back, if you want to say, of the New Testament, the book of 1 John, the 4th chapter, verses 17 and 18. This love is fulfilled with us, so that on the day of judgment we have a confidence based on our identification with Jesus in this world. Love will never invoke fear. Perfect love expels fear, particularly the fear of punishment. Fear seems to be one of those things that human beings have almost at the core of their being. The fear of being found out, the fear of punishment, the fear of being who we are and being judged by others. Rather interesting that these scripture passages talk about a day of judgment, at least for a lot of Christians. That has always been filled, again, with fear. The day of judgment. And yet, this talks about love, about relationship. What I'm going to do with various pieces of this today is to look at kind of the difference between, as the writer says, the fear of punishment and the dreams of accomplishment, because I believe at times fear stops the dreams. Fear limits. Dreams expand. Fear keeps us trapped. Dreams help us explore. So join with me here for the next few minutes at various places and with various kind of settings. But I want you to kind of bounce around in your own head, in your own lived experience, the fear of punishment in contrast to the dreams of accomplishment. Continuing with the idea of fear of punishment and dreams of accomplishment, thinking back on my childhood, probably one of the first times I experienced, I guess if you want to say, some sense of fear, is we had cats on the farm, and the cats they had a variety of personalities, and sometimes they were pretty calm and nice, and other times they would be kind of wild. Well, they enjoyed being petted, and as I was petting one of them, I thought it'd be great to pick this one up because I had seen my brothers pick up a cat before. Well, this particular cat didn't like being held, and so the claws came out and I got scratched both on my hands and on the side of my face. And somebody in the family, and I don't remember who it was, said, "Well, I guess you'll learn from that. You'll never do that again." So fear teaches us some things. And as time went on and I got older and I had chores to do, we had a lot of chickens, and so it was an old chicken house that with not too many chickens in it, but my job was to go gather the eggs. So I'm out gathering eggs, and you had to stick your hand sometimes underneath the hens to get the eggs or to see if there were eggs under there. And this particular hen didn't appreciate that I was invading her property, and she proceeded to peck on the back of my hand very distinctly, and it drew blood. Well, and as I pulled my hand back out of the nesting area, I hit it on the wood that was next to it, and now everything in my hand is hurting. So what did I do? I took the eggs that I had gathered that were in a basket and proceeded to throw them at any chicken I could find. I don't know if my aim was all that good, but just picture around this building, in the inside, there are egg yolks and egg whites running down the walls, and some of the chickens had egg on them as well. Well, I felt kind of good about the whole thing, getting rid of that kind of anger towards a bird that was actually doing what it was supposed to do. But a little while later, my dad figured out there were short a few eggs because he kind of knew what the numbers were every day. And when he went into that particular chicken house, he discovered where the rest of the eggs went. And so coming back to me, and I tried to make excuses, but the excuses weren't any good. He could figure out what had happened, and there was punishment. So all of a sudden, I'm learning more and more to be fearful of punishment. Just do what I'm told. Don't pick up the critters, and just get along and stuff it in some ways. And that is part of the way that you pick up on fears. And not only fears, but how do you deal with that fear? In some ways, I can liken that fear to one of my little backpacks. You learn that you can carry some of that, and you carry it with you, but still you're in pretty good shape and pretty mobile. You can strap the pack on you, and it kind of hides behind you, and you're pretty nimble yet, pretty easy to get around, and off you go. But over the course of time, that little pack doesn't carry everything you need. So, more fears, more things going on in your life, more situations, learning that there are times, and I was the youngest of 3 boys, and sometimes I wanted to get back at my brothers, and learning they're bigger, they're tougher, they're older than I am. You learn over time that there's a lot of fears, and in some ways, and hearing it from other adults at times, that the fear of God is going to be placed in us so we have proper behavior. So there again, that little pack doesn't quite do it, so you need something bigger. And all of a sudden, those fears get put into a bigger pack. That one gets placed on, and all of a sudden, things get a lot more noticeable and heavier. And mobility seems not to be quite as easy as it was before, and the fears begin to weigh a person down. And then came my college days. Not only did I have baggage to haul my stuff to college, but I had a lot of baggage I carried with me as well, and some of my behaviors just weren't what they should have been. Did some things that were against the policies of the college I went to, and a buddy of mine and myself did some things that, no, not proud of, but hey, it was adventurous, it was kind of fun. Nobody found out, but there was that constant fear. Fear that I would be found out. Fear of punishment, which stopped, as I mentioned before, exploration and fun and freedom, because I was weighted down with all kinds of stuff. One of the things about being human is we're pretty darn adaptable. But what do we choose to adapt to? Do we adapt to our fears? Keep packing it into bigger and bigger stuff until it becomes so noticeable and so heavy that we simply plod along, staying on that easiest path? Is that what we're meant to do? Live our life in fear of punishment. I've alluded to in other of these videos that I do long distance biking and hiking and endurance events. You end up packing a lot of fears. Am I going to have enough calories? Am I going to have enough water? Am I going to have enough clothing? Am I going to have enough this? And all of a sudden you end up packing so much stuff that the enjoyment goes out of the event. Yes, I've been cold. Yes, I've been hungry. Yes, I've been wet. But hey, I'm still here. The worst never happened. But yet, the fear that stops the freedom, the fear that stops the dreams. The dream to finish the event and to feel proud about the accomplishment, to explore, to expand what it is that I do. There was a time in my life as a pastor when I was the younger and third pastor in a large congregation, and the older pastor told me through a whole series of events, but the basic premise was, Tim, your ministry's done here and you'll never amount to anything. Oh, did that touch a lot of that old baggage? Guess I'll never do that again. How do we cope with our fears? What do we do? How do we process? Are we as free as our Creator God intended us to be? I wish I could easily and glibly say that I have answers. I don't have any quick and easy answers. But what I do know is that fear is not your friend. It serves a purpose, sure it does. But to haul around the fear of punishment, we even do that in our spiritual life. As I said, we're going to put the fear of God in you. Is that what God's about? Or did God create us to be creative? Did God create us to dream, to explore, to expand in our world? Because isn't that where creation or creativity comes from, is when we expand and see that in many ways things are limitless, instead of dragging the fear of punishment with us that's going to stifle us from truly living. It's taken me a lot of years and it doesn't come easy. And sometimes it recycles. That what I thought was put behind me into that little pack comes back in a huge, huge backpack. But that's part of the process of learning and growing and exploring. Think about it for yourself. Because I think that is what life is meant to be. Not the fear of punishment. Because when the day comes when I am no longer breathing and my heart's no longer beating, I don't expect there to be this day of judgment. What I want to do is when that day comes and I breathe my last and my heart quits beating, that I want to feel I accomplished the things I dreamed about. I explored, I expanded, and I've celebrated the gift of life. Thank you for watching.